I feel like I have no idea how to do a podcast.
How do you
This ain't no
podcast?
radio show. This ain't no disco either.
Are we podcasting now?
This is LA. You just, about in the middle of that sentence, you podcasted
pod
just a little
part?
bit. There was a little bit of podcasting, but then you would switch back.
Yeah, I have no
So just
idea what I'm
talking.
doing. I have no idea
What's the difference in talking and podcasting?
I think you
Spelling?
just have a little more attitude when you podcast.
Okay.
And wear sunglasses and be in some
Hey,
dimly
what's
lit-
up, asswipes?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
That's podcasting right there.
I'm podcasting now.
So right now we're podcasting?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
He just
Oh,
put us
okay.
into it by
No, I
saying
was
that.
accidentally podcasting.
Oh, we were for a second, but we're not now.
Well, we want to start intentionally podcasting.
We're back
That
on.
was accidental. Now?
Now.
Okay, wait, hold on. I'm going to count down again.
That was a false start. Three,
3,
two,
2, 1.
Hey, America, what's up?
Now, hold on. There's got to be some silence.
Do you want to open it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. 3, 2, 1.
The Musers, the podcast. Episode 1. Whatever we feel like.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Musers, the podcast. I'm Gordon.
I'm George.
I'm Craig.
That's exactly how we just did it before.
We used to get people used to make fun of us for that.
I think
open.
it's fine.
Well, I didn't know we were starting before,
Yeah,
but
we're
now I
starting
know we're
now.
starting.
We're on.
Okay,
we're on-
so why the hell are we doing a podcast? Seems like we need to address that right out of the gate.
By the way, we need to address that open. That does sound like 1980s KRLD radio, doesn't
Which
it?
is fine.
When we
The
each
Hardline
give our
used to
names.
kill
Which
us
is
for
fine.
that.
No,
Remember
but
that
it's
KRLD
no,
open
but see,
they do?
it's retro. It's vintage.
Okay, it's back
Yeah,
cool again.
it's back cool again. It's like a podcast that you found in a vintage shop.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. So yes, so we're a podcast different from the radio show. Totally different.
Totally different.
This is more intimate, and I'm going to start using my NPR voice because I've
Please
always
don't.
wanted to use my NPR voice.
Do you think people do use that tone on most podcasts?
Yes.
Like they're
Dude,
just so
I listen to some podcasts, and
introspective right now.
they are so annoying because they are so little energy. There's one podcast I listen to. It's a couple of women who host it,
Mhm.
and they are barely on mic, barely can be bothered to even have a heartbeat at that moment. And for some reason, I stay tuned for it the whole time.
You're there for it.
I'm there for it. So hopefully people can get accustomed to a low energy NPR-ish The Musers.
Are we doing a podcast because that's what old broadcasters do?
What, podcast?
I don't know. They start fading out of radio and they start doing podcasts, kind of like a golfer stops playing competitive golf and he
Starts podcasting?
designs golf courses or
See, that's what we should have done. We should have stopped broadcasting and just designed podcasts, not actually do one.
Or are we doing a podcast because everybody's doing a podcast? The old saying goes, it's easier to list the people who don't have a podcast
it is amazing.
than the ones who do.
You know
Well,
what's
here-
even more
Are we
amazing
just joining
is,
the crowd?
is I barely hear any of them. There's a million podcasts out there, and I bet I've listened to parts of 5.
Okay. Well, at least that's fine.
That's not a bad band name, by the way. But
Parts
yeah,
of 5?
Parts of 5.
Here's the reason why I'm doing a podcast, because there are certain things that I would like to talk about that I would not feel comfortable broadcasting, but would feel comfortable podcasting, and yet I have no idea why that is.
It's still
As
on
if
the
one of
record.
them, as if one of them is secret,
Right.
and the other one isn't. But it's some weird psychological difference to me.
But still on the record. If you say something outrageous, someone's going to say, did you hear what the Muser said on the podcast?
The Musers, the podcast.
And then someone will put it on radio or social media, and it'll be everywhere.
I know, but let me have my delusion.
Okay.
Let me hold on to my delusion.
That's
where I feel
good.
comfortable to share.
Yeah, we should make that clear very early on that the official name of this is The Musers, the podcast. So if you're
Sure there's
saying
not too many V's in there?
No, it's fine.
if you're saying The Musers podcast, you're saying it incorrectly. It's The Musers, the podcast.
Right. Okay. So one thing people have been very curious about is we do, for those of you who are just discovering us who think, wow, these guys are just podcasters. No, we also have a radio show too. And one thing that we did on a radio show was cut back the hours of the time. Why do we do that?
Well, that's easy.
That's easy, yeah, because we had done 4.5 hours for 30 years, and it almost put all three of us in a grave.
Not the same grave.
Maybe I'm just talking
we bought
about
separate
myself,
plots,
but yeah, that's a long radio show for a long time.
Yeah, we were and still are broadcasting on the Ticket, the all sports station in Dallas, Fort Worth. We've been doing the longest show on that station, 4.5 hours.
Thank you for knowing.
Every other show was anywhere between 2 hours and 4 hours. So we've been doing 4.5 hours at the worst possible time, early in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I know I started to feel the burden and the weight of the grind of that. And I know you guys were feeling it as well. I was probably more vocal about feeling that burden and that grind, but it was getting to all of us. As a friend, very close friend of all three of us, said to all three of us, Craig's feeling it right now, but it's coming to you two guys. It's coming for you.
Oh, I've been feeling it.
And you guys,
Yeah.
I know, have been feeling it too.
Yeah.
Not saying that you're not, because, yeah, we're all in the trenches together every morning. So something had to change for the radio show to continue existing.
Yeah.
And cutting back by a third, going from a 4.5 hour show to a 3 hour show has been life-changing. When we talked about it last year, Gordon, you always said this is going to be life-changing, and I was dubious.
Yeah,
but
you doubted
were right.
it. I mean, the way, and here, this is peeling back the curtain, but I think that, Craig, you were basically out the door. You didn't see that you could continue broadcasting anymore.
No, I was.
And you were doubtful that the going 3 hours, you thought you would basically feel the same burden, and you didn't want to lock in for doing 3 hours because then you couldn't just quit right after starting 3 hours saying, I'm so burned out of all of it. And I was like, oh, come on. I think it'll really be life-changing. I think that you'll find that 3 hours is so much more manageable than that 4.5 hours.
Yeah, my burnout factor was incredibly high, to a point where for 25 years I loved coming into work, but the last few years I did not love waking up and coming into work. Now, once I was in and we're in the middle of a segment and we're laughing, then it was fine.
Yeah.
But the work that goes into the show the night before, the day before, all the prep, when we're having to plan 15 segments, that's a lot every day, way more than most radio shows have to plan. And you're doing it half awake. And the not getting much sleep every night for 30 years, there's no doubt that's taken years off our lives. Something had to change for me, for sure. So, yeah, I had a foot out the door and was really burned out on just having to come up with so many sports opinions every day.
Yeah.
And so we talked about it, and for the good of all three of us, mentally and physically and professionally, we decided, let's try the 3 hour show. And I cannot tell you how great it has been. It's made a complete difference in my life now. I don't feel like it's a grind anymore. I don't feel like there's this massive weight on my shoulders every day. There, still responsibility, because you want to put on a good show every morning, and you want your segments to be good or entertaining or informative or funny. And so I'm still putting the work in, but I've had several people say this to me, that they've been 20-year listeners to the show. They think it's better now than ever because there's no wasted space. There's no wasted time.
Yeah.
They say the pacing to the radio show is very high energy, and all three of us sound much more engaged. So I think it's been a great change.
In my simple brain, I was a little worried about it cutting back, because I just thought, I don't know. Gordon and I have talked about, I've been like this plow horse that that's how you plow the field every morning. You can't take a couple of rows off the field. You still have to plow those. And I never even thought about it. Until we brought it up in conversation, and if we're going to continue, it's going to have to look different. But I got to tell you, it has been the same for me. It's just, I think it has freshened the show. It's freshened me. 30 minutes is 30 minutes as far as wake up time, but the hours that we've taken off each week, I think have made for better programming for when we are on the air. That's just what I've heard. But it's been good.
I think I was just more worried about change. And this is kind of a life issue, right? But we did something so long and it went well. And I've always been a little bit spooked by, I don't know what the magic of the ticket is. I just know that it works.
Don't mess with the
And
magic.
yeah, and when you don't understand why something works, you're really hesitant to start messing with it. And so I was hesitant to do that for that or mess with it for that reason. But God, this chair is loud. Can you hear this thing?
Yeah. I got a loud chair too.
We've always had the loudest chairs
Oh, my
up here.
goodness. But so I was worried that, messing with the show. But as I told Craig, at some point we're going to have to make changes, or we just stop doing this. And I don't want to stop doing it. I don't want to stop doing the radio show.
Yeah.
I think that there's I also think there's kind of this fake battle set up between podcast and radio. And part of that you can understand if you're launching a podcast, there's some trash talking that goes on, but there's no reason why both of those things can't exist. And look, they are. Here we are doing a podcast and have a radio show.
Right. I think you can do both. And I think the storyline that terrestrial radio is just about dead is just, I don't think it's accurate. We know of thousands of people who are employed by radio stations who still make a lot of money, who do well. Their companies do well. It is different. And I've seen it talking to colleges and broadcast classes, and you ask the student how do they consume it, and it's a lot different now than it was when the ticket went on the air. But I still think for terrestrial radio, just talking about what we have been doing for the last 30 some odd years, I still think there is a need for what's going on right now in my town, whether it's weather or with your sports team or with your mayor, whatever it is. I still think there's a need for that. What's going on right now? And radio still addresses that. That's something podcasts don't do unless someone does a 24-hour podcast that I'm...
Well, yeah, I mean, there are people that do daily, kind of thing.
I guess you can do it
which
there,
you can
yeah.
do some of that. It's a little bit different feel, and it's great that there's that
Both,
choice,
yeah.
right? You can listen on demand or you can tune in live. There are certain things that I like watching live. Like it's a little bit defeating to watch the Super Bowl 3 days later. There's the excitement of a live event and the people are tuned in at the same time. So in my view, I think that both have a place in this world. And I have a Kindle, I have physical books. I got used to there being two different delivery sources for that content. So I'm sure there can be two different delivery sources for the Musers. The Musers, the radio show, the Musers, the podcast.
Yeah, and back to the original question, why are we doing a podcast? I think for me, it's part about the future. We cut back our radio hours, and now I find that instead of scrambling for topics to fill 4.5 hours, I find that I come to the end of the day after a 3-hour show and I'm like, wow, we didn't even talk about this. And I've got a lot to say about this. So this gives us another outlet. We're starting here with one a week, an hour podcast. It's not going to be a huge extra burden for us, but I've always pictured this podcast as, if the three of us were to do one, our 8:15 segments on the radio show, it's very general interest. It's kind of life stuff. Well, if it's a very sportsy day, we'll do sports at 8:15, but a lot of times we do magazine talk or summer camp talk or something like that at 8:15. And so often we get to the end of that 15-minute segment and I think, I could have talked for another 30 minutes about this.
Yeah.
And that's what I think this podcast can serve as. It's an elongated conversation about these topics that we really like, that we are limited on the radio side because we only have 12 minutes in that segment or 15 minutes. And then we have to move on to the next segment. We have a guest or this, where we can actually take some time to have a long form conversation. So that was the appeal to me about the podcast. And the other appeal was, maybe one day down the road, I think now it'll be longer down the road than any of us thought, but when the radio side is done, the podcast is something that you could do from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, we don't have to live in the same town. And
yeah, if we want to, Gordon wants to retire in Tibet and George wants to retire in the hill country and I want to retire somewhere, we could keep doing the podcast for a long, long time. So it was partly about kind of adding that to our Musers arsenal.
Yeah, and I think you can do things with podcasts that would not work on radio. I know people that listen to specific podcasts that, whether it's gardening or something else, that
I want to start listening to gardening podcasts.
If you did that every day, on radio, I don't think it'd work very well. But some of those podcasts, I just threw that out. It could be something musical too. That, a genre of music that I think would be interesting to a certain segment of the population, but it wouldn't be broadly popular.
Okay, so in doing things that you do here that you wouldn't do on the radio, would you be willing to hit record on your iPhone and record yourself going number 2 and playing it on this podcast? Because it's very secret, behind the scenes, peeling back the curtain, showing people the prep that you do.
The prep?
For delivering content.
No.
Showing people the preparation H in your bathroom. No, I would not do that.
And I think at some point, those have been some of my favorite conversations, not the ones about number 2, but the 8:15 conversations that we've had. It wasn't at 8:15 last week, but I thought we just scratched the surface last week of fatherhood, and we're all fathers. We've all lost our dads.
That was more than last week. That was a while ago.
It was a month ago.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
We're in a time warp here doing this podcast.
Right. But there are restraints in radio. Talk about things that work in the podcast world that we couldn't have done 2 hours on our radio show of fatherhood. I think eventually people would go, okay, that's enough. Or maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe radio's changing and maybe the ticket listeners changing. But I do think we can expand on Bigfoot playing in the NBA for more than 10 minutes.
What? I'm not aware
that
of
was
this.
A conversation we had
like
26 years ago, I think. 1999 was the...
Insert audio.
was the Bigfoot conversation. And all we have left of that is almost an inaudible...
It's horrible.
...recording of that conversation, which was Bigfoot playing for the Mavericks.
Yeah, seriously, there's better audio of FDR giving a fireside chat than us talking about Bigfoot playing for the Mavs.
And that is a bingo. You love talking about fireside
FDR's fireside chats.
FDR.
Does anybody remember FDR? Well, we happen to have him here. Guys, how are you?
Hey, it's FDR.
December 7th is a day that will live in infamy. Isn't that how he talks?
That's JFK.
Okay, I hate you. But didn't FDR, wasn't he the one that had the weird cigarette holder, like the penguin?
Yeah. That was big back then.
My kid brain always got the two of them confused.
You thought Burgess Meredith
yeah.
FDR were the same? Is that totally gone now, the cigarette holder?
Cigarette holder? You would think that some women would like to do that because it is kind of a cool look for a sexy woman with the... blunt cut, dark black hair.
Oh, okay.
What'd I say? Did you mishear blunt cut? That is prone to a mix-up.
Did the Penguin and FDR also have similar eyewear? Did they wear a monocle or little glasses?
Yeah, I think they wore
John Lennon glasses.
Okay.
No, FDR had two monocles that he had put a bar between.
Called glasses.
Oh yeah, I guess kind of same. But yeah, they both had those round glasses, and for some reason with the cigarette holder, you always just clench it between your teeth and you're smiling all the time.
Why'd you talk like that?
Yeah, you see? Damn Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor, you see?
No, we really have character confusion. Wow. And it reminds us that we still have not had Mike Ducey do the unexplained monocle.
Yeah. Were you there
on
for that?
Free for All?
One of us was out
I've heard
for that.
about this, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was filling in for you. That's right.
Yeah.
And we dared him to go on the air, and he had to have a monocle that he never referenced. And it was what do we call unreferenced monocle? Unacknowledged monocle. He could not acknowledge the monocle. He just had to do a whole broadcast wearing one.
And like the cigarette holder, no one wears a monocle anymore.
Right.
Why is that?
Because it's a pain.
Yeah, you saw what it did to FDR. Put him in a wheelchair.
Why doesn't Dick Vitale do it?
Because he doesn't need it.
He has
Can
one
he
eye.
see? But he can't see out of the fake eye.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But he can see well out of his good eye, so why does he need a monocle?
I think he has some vision in his fake eye. I think there's some vision in the fake eye, right? Because there's still nerves back there.
He just sees cartoon figures?
It's
Or?
a-
Well, no, he's not tuned into a different broadcast in one eye.
It's a glass eye, though, so he can't have
Yeah,
any
well,
vision
TVs are
coming
made of
out
glass.
that. He can't have any vision coming out of his or into his glass eye.
But glass is translucent or transparent.
Obviously.
So you could see things through it, right? Just follow me.
No, that would not connect to your brain.
Maybe we can have him on as a guest, and that could be our first
Well,
question.
he's right here alongside.
Can you see out of your
I don't
glass
want to wear
eye?
a monocle, baby.
I don't need it, you see.
Hey, it's FDR.
Hey, we both don't like the Japanese.
I think you're awesome. All right.
God. So I've gotten this question a lot. What is our podcast going to be about?
I think you just heard it.
Yeah,
The last
it's
15
mainly
seconds.
FDR related material.
And my first thought is exactly what Napoleon Dynamite said to that kid in the back of the bus. Whatever we want it to be about.
Whatever I feel like. Gosh.
Yeah, whatever we feel like. It'll
Gosh,
probably.
this podcast is going to be a big waste of time as that movie was.
That's a great movie.
Brilliant
It's a great
movie,
waste
and
of
you
time.
know it.
That's a top 5 comedy of all time. I think the podcast will probably lean a little less sports than the radio show,
Mm-hmm.
and probably more general interest. We'll have guests, but it'll probably change week to week.
Yeah, I think we'll get away from sports a lot here, but we are in a town, and we talked about this during the Campbound a while back.
Yeah, it was like a year ago.
This town always gives us something just incredible that you need hours to discuss.
Sports wise?
We have, yes.
Are you talking Eric
sports-wise.
Johnson bond elections?
No, all that stuff puts us to sleep. But our sports teams, our sports personalities in this town just keep giving month after month. Just when you think, yeah, I guess Cuban got rid of his interest in the Mavericks, it's probably going to settle down. And then the Luka thing happens.
Oh, I didn't tell you guys. Cuban, did he text me? No, he emailed me recently.
Really?
Like a week ago, plus however long.
You bury so many leads.
I
It's
know. Well, I
incredible.
forgot to tell you guys. So Cuban texts me. Emails me out of the blue. I've not heard from him in forever. I just see him when he's up here.
What are you wearing?
Well, no, that's not. And then there's a shot that's very similar to the Brett Favre, Jen Sturger shot.
This is what I'm wearing.
This is what I'm wearing. It's a G-Shock by Casio. Nothing else. Just wearing a watch while holding a noodle. So he emails me and says, hey, listen, I'm digitizing and going to upload the Mark Cuban shows.
Wow. Really?
Why would the world want that?
Well, that was my question that I didn't send back to him. But I was like, and he said, and this is Mark Cuban, a billionaire, multi-billionaire, famous Mark Cuban. And he asked, would you be okay with that? Which
Wow,
that's
that's really
kind of
nice, yeah.
interesting and classy. So for those that don't know, the reason I'm even mentioning that is because I worked on that show with him. That's
How
why
long
he's
is that
emailing
show
me.
on the air and when? Because I can't even place it back in
Yeah,
time.
I think he was only on the air for maybe a year.
Late
maybe
90s,
2.
early aughts?
It was right after he got the team. So when was that?
99?
Yeah,
Did he
so
get the team?
Yeah.
I would estimate it was 99, 2000,
Okay.
around there. And I guess he had found all these old episodes and wanted to digitize them and upload them. And then asked if he asked me and asked Katie, who was the woman who worked on the show with us.
Chicken Charge.
What?
Was she also the Chicken Charge?
What's Chicken Charge?
It's that show that used to be on here, and she was on that show. They
I
called
don't know
her
what you're
that.
talking about.
Keep going.
January of 2000, he bought the
That's when
Mavericks.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
So yeah, 2000, 2001. And he asked us, would you guys have any problem with that, doing that? Well, of course, I'm like, I mean, I've been living pretty well with those things not being on YouTube. Why upset this delicate balance? But he sent a copy of it, an unlisted link to it. And I watched it, and it's painful, but...
The only thing I remember was the Lakers line that fell really flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Bob and Dan used
Did
to
he
have fun
do
doing.
a monologue every
Yes.
week?
He would come out and do a monologue, and then it was, he would have guests, and it would be filmed in front of a live audience at a, restaurant club kind of thing. and he would interview. I remember him interviewing Ryan Leaf. I remember standing backstage talking to Ryan Leaf when he was coming here.
How weird.
Yeah. And then I would do like bits, in the street and things like that, ostensibly purportedly comedic material. But
I would watch those again just to see your stuff. I can't even remember what you did.
George, it's really.
I bet it was funny. You on the street? That's hilarious.
The bit that I saw that he sent was me going to Fort Worth asking him about, are they ticked because it's the Dallas Mavericks and it really should be Metroplex kind of thing. Something like that. And I remember watching it going, okay, this is about 6 minutes too long.
You always think that, though, when you watch something on TV.
Need to make that shorter.
You should have been an editor.
A what?
I didn't say it very well. An editor.
Maybe we can edit out a few of those syllables you put in editor.
You should be
an editor.
Do you remember that time period in the late 90s where, really through all the 90s and maybe the early aughts, where a 30-minute or 1 hour local TV show on a more random channel like 39 or something like that was a big deal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was the show with Jim Dent and Lee Martin? And
I don't know, but
How to Evade Cops?
We would make appearances on that show to do impersonations.
George and I would.
Really?
Please tell me those don't exist anymore.
Delicious. Well, maybe Jim Dent will email me and say, hey, I'm digitizing all the old shows.
But there was actually a Ticket on TV show for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And we were all trying to do anything we could on that.
And that was in the heyday of the, Stern and Shock Jockey, so we're all more like that.
Yeah.
Those
stuff
would
that
not
you
hold up
really cringe at now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
See, that's what
show?
I've tried to. It's weird to have any complaints about the job that we've had or the careers that we've had because we've lucked out and it's been a joy.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I tell people that sucks, which kids, even your average kids today that don't even have huge careers, they're living under it too, is that growing up being documented is one of the worst things ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And now that kids have a digital trail of every stupid phase they've ever been through, that sucks.
Could you imagine?
And in our careers,
that?
we've had, you grow.
Yeah.
You grow and you change, but yet your old things were preserved. And that sucks.
I know. And I did a terrible job as a parent warning my boys about that because it didn't really exist as they were.
You thought that the internet would forget?
I just didn't know how it worked. And thankfully, they got through the most reckless time of their lives in their teenage years without doing anything too crazy online or.
But it could have gone a different way for them. I mean, think about this. Think about that they're with their friends and they use let's say a homophobic slur to one of their friends, and that gets preserved. And then they build a nice career and they're a CEO of some company and then it's discovered 40 years later and then they lose that's it. They're done.
I know.
Maybe that's an exaggeration. Maybe that doesn't happen, but it seems like it happens.
I think it does. I think it does. Even if it was 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember on Ticket TV, I was buying bras from women. Remember that?
Off women?
And they would give you their bra?
That they were wearing.
Yes. It was a bit. I was out in the street for Ticket TV. And it was to see how much. It was, of course, Hardline, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if you can
Ask her how much.
Ask her how much. And I think I bought like I don't know, 6 or 7. It seemed like.
You still have them?
No, I'm sure I gave them back to him right afterwards. After you've done it for the TV camera, you're fine.
So that's wild that Cuban reached out to you. We have not talked to him.
Well, I guess
you see him at the gym.
I see him every week at the gym.
Okay.
He does a 9:30 class there, and it's one of those like CrossFit type things. And he is in the best mood. And I'll talk to him, and he comes up to me, and we never talk basketball. I don't want to beat him down with that.
Yeah.
We talk kids, we talk life, we talk working out, we talk getting older, and I think I've told you guys
My
this
face is getting
before.
younger.
I've told you guys this before. Since he made the decision to retire from Shark Tank and sell the Mavericks, he seems like a weight has been lifted. He's just always buoyant and in a good mood and smiley and he's always been really nice to us and good to us.
Yeah.
But he seems like he's in a really good place.
Wonder what's next for him. Podcast?
Probably.
presidential podcast.
FDR podcast.
We need to get him on this podcast.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah,
I think you'd do it.
I think that'd be a good possibility.
Okay, so telling the Cuban story reminded me of something else. I was going through an old box of early ticket stuff. Early stuff.
Oh, God.
And I have everything. I preserved everything from the early days. There are sales sheets from when we initially sent out trying to say, hey, this is a new sports station coming on the air here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and here are our rates. And I want to say that a commercial in Morning Drive, Skip Bayless Morning Drive, was $50 for a minute.
Wow.
In Dallas-Fort Worth.
$50.
$50. You could buy an ad.
These days, you'd have to pay $60.
$60
to get on
yeah,
our
that's
show.
inflation.
Yeah,
It's
at
inflation.
least to get on our show.
So that's hard to believe.
So anyway, in this box of stuff that I found a letter, and I opened that had a card in it, a piece of snail mail, as they call it. And I opened up the card, and a photo falls out. And the photo is of a laughing Stephen Jones. Believe it or not, Stephen Jones laughing. Could you imagine?
No.
The overlaugher himself was captured on photographic film laughing. So it was a photo of Stephen Jones dying laughing, and it was a handwritten card from Stephen thanking me for some event that I had no memory of doing. Did not remember it whatsoever.
Did you have to do fake Jerry in front of everybody?
I'm assuming that's what it was. It was some big event or luncheon that was honoring him, or he was there and I was there to provide some entertainment, and I got up there and I must have done some stuff and ragging on him and his family, making jokes about the Jones family.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
I need to bring that in.
For it.
Yeah. And he thanked me for it. He said, thank you for,
making fun of us.
Yeah. Haven't we had a lot of fun and everything, even though if it was, some of it was at my expense, ! Smiley face. All that. But I was like, I'm glad I kept that. I wouldn't even remember that. And you know what? It's strange about the Jones family, as you mentioned, Giorgio. They give us a lot to talk about, including the fact that now I'm on an animated series that is tangentially about the Jones family.
Another lead he buried.
I know.
But I remember also another time when I did something for Charlotte. She asked me to do some fake Jerry for her for something they were surprising her dad with. And I want to say it was surrounding the Hall of Fame time when he got in the Hall of Fame.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I did this thing for her, and she also sent me a handwritten note. They were very
Wow.
old school Southern manners that way, to that you send thank you notes to
That's
people.
great.
I mean,
Boy,
here's Stephen and Charlotte Jones sending thank you notes to me, which just...
For skewering their family
Yes.
and their dad.
Yes. That's one weird quirk about them.
That is a lost art, sending the handwritten thank you note. I
Yes.
try
I
to
know.
force myself to do it, and I'm terrible about it. But when you get something like that,
I know.
especially from somebody high profile like that, it's really meaningful.
My dad, until the day he died, would write thank you notes for everything. We would have him over for dinner, just a random Tuesday night dinner. And 2 days later in the mail, we'd get a thank you note
Wow.
from him. Yeah.
Yes.
Not too long ago, one of my cousin's kids, I got him, he's a big hockey fan. He plays goaltender, and I got him some Dallas Stars swag, or is it swag? Swag?
It's swag, isn't it?
Swag. Yeah, that's right.
Swag.
Corby and I thought it was swag, but it's actually swag.
Don't listen to anything Corby says.
But anyway,
Someday we'll spill the beans on that guy.
I got him a couple of Dallas Stars thing. A few days later, he sent a handwritten thank you note in the mail. A 15-year-old kid, and I thought, that's great.
Yeah.
That still
That is.
exists.
Mhm.
My mom used to make us write thank you notes after birthdays, but I did a terrible job of
No.
taking that to adulthood.
Yeah, my mom made me do that too. And I swore that when I became an adult, that was the one thing that I was going to do, is never do thank you cards. Because
Just
she
one
had
of those
forced me
things
to. Yeah. That
you
was
were
going to be my
forced to
one
do.
benefit of being an adult.
Yeah, I got to do a better job about that, because I do think it means something to somebody.
It absolutely does. And even just the little gifts for people that you get them. You remember when the internet started and everybody started sending Evites and then e-cards, they would send you thank you cards. I get the convenience of it, and we were all obsessed with the novelty of it. But the old school thank you card that you discover in a box or a drawer many years later, that's going to give you warm and fuzzies. You're never going to go back through your junk folder and find the Evite or the e-thank you card that you got 15 years ago. But when you find a handwritten note from your departed father that just thanks you for the meal and maybe mentions what y'all had and, hey, that was fun playing darts afterwards,
Yeah.
and then it reminds you of that physical memento will mean so much more to you.
We all like the Jones family, but when I hear that Charlotte wrote you a note and Stephen wrote you a note, part of that makes me wonder, is that also part of the business plan, their business model? Because we all know how Jerry treats the media. You can skewer him left and right 365 days a year, and he still is going to smile and shake your hand and ask you how your family's doing. And I think he learned that from his dad, that if you're going to be successful in business, you need the old saying, keep your friends close, keep your enemies close.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's, and I think the proper response to have is, yes, I do think that the Jones family knows how to work the media, and they know how to work people, and they know how to work business associates. They know everything's about relationships and all that. So cynically, you could say that it's a manipulation, but you could also say, it's still the right thing to do, even if they do it for the wrong reason.
Right.
And I'm not even doing the right thing for any reason. I'm not even writing the thank you note.
And boy, this would be a good topic. And we've talked about Jerry so much, but when you are around their family, there is a real goodness to their family.
It's a weird deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
They have this golden tractor beam charisma of family around them. I mean, as crazy as they are, it's insane to me that you would have a family that's that wealthy, that has had this much drama surrounding them, that still all talk to each other and act like they really enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. And go out of their way to, when they hear about another family going through some sort of tragedy or triumph. Like, you guys remember when the morning news did a story on my son playing for North Texas while I was doing the games, and I got this long letter from Jerry saying that reminded me of when Stephen was playing at Arkansas, and I was going up to the games, and he was, second generation Razorback. I never played for North Texas, but slightly different situations. But I still have that note that he, and I just think he did it out of the goodness of his heart of, hey, good for George, good for Blake. Let me write them a little note. Or when he sent, a ton of food over to our house after my mom passed away. He didn't publicize that.
I know. It's weird. And people are going to say the Musers, the podcast, all they did was just sit there and be apologists for the Jones family. But no, they're interesting stories.
I think it's half and half. I think he does that because he does like you or care, but I think it's also good business. Ingratiate yourself to the media. That's why he throws that huge party at Nobu every year in Malibu, and the media eats it up, and they're going to be a little less likely to criticize him after that.
Right. And maybe that's why the fake Jerry never has anything negative about the Jones family in it. It's because of thank you notes and sending food over to your house.
And what's funny is that he embraces the fake Jerry.
I know it.
And I remember one time I can't remember where we were. There've been a few of these settings where he will see Gordo and light up and tell everybody, yeah, this is the guy that does me, the fake Jones. And one time I remember him laughing, boy, you guys really give it to Junior, don't you? To Jerry Jr. He was laughing.
Jerry Senior said that?
Jerry Senior said,
oh my gosh.
You guys really give it to Jerry Jr., don't you, about being rowdy or something. And he was laughing about that.
Okay, but this was all BGA.
Before what?
Gate agent. We have not had a conversation with him.
He's not sent food to your house since Gate Agent?
That's true.
And
you think
fake Jerry talks about that a lot?
Yes. I think that fake Jerry's mentioned it once.
That's a weekly bingo for him, and I don't know if we see him this training camp, I don't know you're going to get the same reaction.
Jerry thinks Gate Agent is funny. Gene does not.
Right.
Gene does not.
But therefore, he doesn't.
Now, when they're having their family listening parties and they're listening to the bit, Gene is not laughing, and Jerry is looking over at him, cutting his eyes over at him, and he's stifling laughter because he knows he can't laugh in front of her. But as soon as she leaves the room after hearing the bit, him and Steven laugh at Gate Agent.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they do.
I bet they do.
Okay. I was going to protest the Nobu dinner like I did last year.
Oh yeah, this is George's stupid protest, where he says he's not going to go enjoy the fine meal provided by the Jones family.
The food is so good
at the most beautiful setting in the world.
I know.
I also protested last year.
Yeah.
And
I think this year
y'all dress up your laziness as protest. You just didn't want to get out of the hotel room.
Well, that too. I didn't want to stay out late, but I think we should go this year just to test is gate agent funny?
Well, I went last year and he never cornered me or sicked New Roosevelt on me to beat me up.
Right, but he didn't pull you aside and go, hey, that fake Jones thing, that sure is funny.
Well, he didn't do that.
Okay, and that's what it used to be.
Yeah,
what if he did call me over to say, hey, I love the fake Jones and everything in front of all his friends, and I just launch into gate agent humor in his voice.
Oh, my gosh.
He's not going to
bent her over, and I did my thing out there on the flight concourse.
He's not going to dress you down at Nobu.
No.
He's only going to compliment you there.
He may whisper in your ear, hey, let's cut the gate agent stuff.
Cut back on gate agent. Don't do gate agent anymore. I should have never done her to begin with.
He's only in 31 years called us once to complain about something we said on the air. Do you remember that? That was probably 15 years ago.
Yes.
And wasn't it something that was more factual than... For some reason, I'm remembering it was...
Didn't you have to go into the control room and talk to him during a commercial break?
Yes, it was right after we interviewed him, and we were trying to nail him down on something about a negotiation or something. Or maybe it was football related.
He was mad.
Yeah, he cussed at me a little bit and said, I don't mind, debating something, but what you did to me was BS, and but we're still friends.
And what were you? But he said that we're still friends.
That's what he said when he fired me from PA.
Oh,
that was a weird phone call. The ticket had just lost the rights to the Cowboys, and it went to a competitor that was owned by CBS. And from what I understand, it was the Jerry Jr. thing that they didn't want somebody from the ticket up in the PA booth because I wouldn't read their radio promos, which I used to do for KVIL, which is ridiculous. But anyway, I get a phone call. And
what do they mean? The radio promos meaning like you read them over the PA?
Yeah, listen to the postgame show on 105.3 The Fan, like I wouldn't read that. But I used to read that when KVIL did it, and, I was professional about it. I didn't do it in a funny voice or anything. And so, one day after the Cowboys left Texas Stadium, they're going to the new stadium. I get a phone call, says Dallas Cowboys. And I guess it was Marilyn, the late, great Marilyn.
It was his
secretary.
Right-hand person.
Yeah, and said, George, how are you? And, fine. Mr. Jones wants to talk to you. I went, gosh.
Do you know any good gate agents around here? DFW love, don't matter.
No, he said, hey, I appreciate the job you've done for us. I do, but we're changing radio stations, and therefore we're changing PA announcers, and that means you're not going to do it, but we're still friends.
And then he hung up.
And then, okay, well, thanks, Jerry. Bye.
So it was short.
That was very short. It was very strange.
The story of you getting the job is even more interesting because it stems from that night in New Orleans where you guys went out, and you can tell that whole story if you want to, but you had never done any PA before that,
never,
right?
No.
No.
That was
okay.
No
sense.
You talk about Jones family cover up. That whole you getting the PA job was total Jones family cover up.
I think they were changing PA anyway, and they had talked, seriously, they did have a talk that they wanted a radio personality, not a podcast personality, but a radio personality.
Before New Orleans? Before your night out with him or after?
I don't know about that. I just know that it came up in conversation somewhere between January and May. And after our time in January, I think Jerry suggested to the people who were in charge of it.
You need to get George Dunham on the payroll by any means necessary.
He was funny.
Make him sign that NDA, too.
He thought I was a lot of fun. I thought he was a lot of fun.
Okay, so we're at the Super Bowl. It's New Orleans.
Super Bowl 31.
Okay.
Yeah.
New Orleans. And this was in the It was earlier days of the ticket. We all
When was
drank
that?
a little bit more.
02? What year was that?
No, it was 96, 97 season.
Oh, was that early?
It was 31, so it
Wow.
was the year after the Cowboys won it. It was Packers and Patriots
Okay.
in New Orleans.
It was that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Because George and I were rooming on that road trip.
Yes.
Gordo,
And-
that's when you stayed with the laddie in another hotel. Yeah,
Here, I
George
had to
and I
stay
were
with
rooming.
our boss, and that was when our boss told me at the beginning of the trip, "You're rooming with me." And meanwhile, I'm the young guy at the station. He's an older gentleman,
It was a weird matchup.
and he said, "Buddy, you're going to be rooming with me on this trip." Yeah, yes, sir. You're going to learn some things about me. Okay. And then we got to and I was like nervous about this the whole time leading up to what is this cryptic talk that he's doing? What am I going to learn about him tonight, our first night in the hotel room? And he was laying on the other bed on his side. He was a heavier gentleman wearing just his boxers, laying on his side with his arm propped up, as his chin, at the side of his head propped up on his elbow, his arm. And he goes, "Well, I think it's time." What?
Oh, my God, for
Think
what?
it's time? I said, "For what?" Exact same question. And he goes, "I think it's time to introduce you to the apparatus." And he reaches back behind the bed, which was along the wall, between the bed and the wall, and he pulls out this fighter pilot's mask. And I thought, my God, what kind of Pulp Fiction sex scene have I just run into?
Because that was the beginning of the CPAP machine, I guess.
Yeah, well, I had never heard of a CPAP machine. And I'm thinking he's pulling out some apparatus that's going to be like from the movie Seven that the guy had to strap on, or I don't know, and then a fighter pilot mask where we're both going to be inhaling nitrous while he's, doing
This is
evil.
what I'm wearing. You wear a skirt.
Right. But yeah, he pulled out the apparatus. But yes, I was rooming with the laddie at that time. You guys were rooming together.
And we went out on the Friday night before the Super Bowl.
Yep.
We were down for the whole game, and we had gone to several bars. We're having a great time, and we ran into the Jones family at a bar, and Gene was there.
On Bourbon Street, right?
On Bourbon Street. And Jerry was there, and we eventually worked our way over to Jerry, but we saw Gene, his wife, and she knew who we were. We talked to her for a little bit, and she said, "Could you do me a favor?" "Well, sure, Mrs. Jones. Could you tell Jerry that his family's ready to go?"
Oh,
So I was more than a few in, and I said, "Yeah, that's easy.
She
We
put
do a
you
weekly show with Jerry. I'll
right
go."
in the middle of a 40-year domestic disagreement.
About how late do we stay out on Friday night. And so I went over to Jerry and, hey, what's going on? We had just a small talk. And
He's all happy. Yeah,
Yeah,
going
happy.
great. How are you?
And I said, hey, I just talked to Jean, and she wanted me to pass along a message. She wants you to know that the family's ready to go.
And we're not on broadcast radio, so I think you can give the actual quote now.
I thought we weren't going to say that word.
You don't have to force it.
Well,
Don't force it.
He said, "Get the F out of my face." Right to me after a little bit of a very awkward pause.
That has to be very intimidating for Jerry Jones to say that to you
Yes.
in your face.
And he was no longer smiling.
You said it was like dripping with venom.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And then all of a sudden he said, "I apologize. Sit down. What are you drinking?" And that's where it started. And it didn't end until 7:00 the next morning.
The partying that you
The
guys
party.
did together.
We went hard.
So I'm back at the hotel room, and I had a wild night that night as well.
You probably wondered if I was dead.
Yeah.
By
So he finally comes in at 7, and I'm like, what is going on with you? Where were you? And the first thing he says is, I lost a lens out of my glasses. He had dropped a lens, and he only had one lens in his glasses, so he couldn't see
Didn't
very
it skitter
well.
into a storm drain?
no, because I found it. But I got caught up in some crowd and I got knocked back and forth and my glasses fell off.
Did you get knocked by a horse or something?
No, it wasn't a horse. Yay, full repeat, Giorgio. Yeah, they were broken. So the rest of the night I put them in my shirt pocket and was trying to see going around. This is before I had LASIK.
With one eye shut.
And you all
could have used the
I needed a
unacknowledged monocle.
I
Yeah.
needed a monocle.
You all were chauffeured around that night by New Orleans police.
Yeah. That's how we got it. This was before
But weren't the police like taking y'all to various chili dog stands? It was a weird bit of police
kind of.
escorting.
From bar to bar, and then we got in the back of the police car, and he said, "Hold on a minute." And Jerry called out to a guy named Freezy. "Hey, Freezy, come over here."
Jerry always has these weirdly named people who are attendants of
He
his.
knew this guy named Freezy, who I don't think ran the hot dog stand, but he was able to deliver us 2 chili dogs to the back seat of the police car. And Jerry took a spork and and cut off part of the chili dog, and then kept his hand under it, and
he cupped his hand up under it like you're feeding a baby.
slowly went over to my face and said, "You want to taste a piece of heaven on earth?" And then Spork fed me a chili dog. At least the first bite. I got to tell you, at 3:00 in the morning,
Tastes pretty
was
good.
a piece of heaven on earth.
And you still had 4 more hours out with him on the town
Yeah.
until he finally came home at 7 a.m. And then, miraculously, a few months later, you're the Texas Stadium PA guy.
But you know what? As we put the timeline together, that was the 96-97 season, because of Super Bowl 31, right? And I didn't start till 98, so a full season went by.
Okay.
Well, he knew that he had to pad the clock a little bit. So
The what?
pad the clock a little bit because he didn't want it to be too obvious that he was paying you hush money.
Right.
Maybe. But I've told the story on the air. It's not as if I think I even told the story
I know.
shortly
Yeah,
after
that's
that.
the thing. All these nice things that the Jones family have done haven't resulted in any sort of closed mouths from us.
No.
So
No, it hadn't worked.
So yeah, it's the worst policy ever they have. Charm them to death.
Maybe the Jerry Jones story is a great place to wrap up our first ever podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I think it's been a success.
Has it?
No.
I was just trying to be positive.
I think this is a one and done. Thank you guys. I love you.
I'm spent.
I just ran out of material
And
for my whole life. The end.
The Musers, the podcast. You can now find the guys on Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and yep, even TikTok. New pod episodes each Wednesday. And don't forget, you can still listen every weekday morning from 6 to 9 Dallas time on America's favorite radio station, The Ticket. The Musers, the podcast, is produced by Peter Welpton and is a Tired Head production.